Okay, so let's just dive right in. Today, we're tearing down a book that wasn't just a bestseller, it was like a cultural hand grenade. We're talking about Timothy Ferriss's The 4-Hour Workweek. This thing literally changed how an entire generation thinks about work, money, and, well, what it even means to live a good life. But before we get into all the nuts and bolts, I want to start with the one question that this entire philosophy is built on. Just take a second and really let this one sink in. What if the whole idea of working for 40 or 50 years to save up for some golden retirement at the end, what if that entire plan is just fundamentally flawed? And this quote right here, this is the book's explosive answer. It introduces this idea of the new rich. And get this, their wealth isn't really about dollars, it's measured in time and mobility. They're the people who just stopped waiting to live their lives.
Wow. Okay, new rich. I'm listening. That phrase alone is, that's powerful. Primary currencies, so not money, but time and mobility. That completely flips the script on what it even means to be successful.
It flips the entire table over. And that's pretty much our roadmap for this explainer. First, we're going to expose the problem, the 9-to-5 illusion. Then, we'll properly meet these new rich. And finally, we'll walk you through the 4-step framework Ferriss laid out to get there. Definition, elimination, automation, and liberation. The acronym, and you're going to want to remember this, is DEAL. All right, so let's start with the problem that so many of us are living in, maybe without even realizing it. Ferriss calls it the gilded cage. You know that feeling when you have all the simples of success, the good job, the steady paycheck, the nice car, but you feel completely, utterly trapped by it all. This is the default setting for pretty much our entire society, the deferred life plan. You grind it out through your 20s, your 30s, your 40s. You put off your dreams, your travel, your real passions, all for this, promise of a future payoff that, let's be honest, isn't even guaranteed.
Yeah, that sounds painfully familiar. That's what we're all taught, right? It's what school prepares us for. You work hard so that one day you can relax. The actual living part, that always gets pushed off into the future.
Exactly. And Ferriss tells this incredible story that shows just how empty that promise can be. So he's on a plane and gets to talking with this guy, Mark, a top CEO. Mark has everything we're told to want. Private jets, mansions, millions in the bank. But he confesses to Tim that he is just completely miserable. He's disconnected from his family, he's horribly dissatisfied, and he feels like his whole life just passed him by while he was busy making money. That really hits home. Think about that for a second. You work your entire life for this one thing, this number in a bank account. And then you finally get it, and it's just hollow. It's an empty victory. It forces you to ask this question, right? Am I actually building a life, or am I just slowly earning a dying? That is the perfect question to lead us into the next part. Because after diagnosing this massive, soul-crushing problem, Ferriss introduces the antidote, a tribe of people living by a completely different set of rules. He calls them the new rich. This comparison really lays out the fundamental shift in thinking. The deferrers, that's the old way, they are obsessed with absolute income, just making more and more money. But the new rich, they care about relative income and freedom. They're not interested in buying everything they want. They're interested in doing everything they want.
Okay, that's a complete game changer. Has others work for them instead of works for themselves, and takes mini retirements. So it's not about one big finish line at 65. It's about sprinkling that freedom throughout your whole life. This is a total paradigm shift.
It really is, and this idea of relative income is the simple math that powers the whole system. It's not about your annual salary, it's about your effective hourly rate. So think about it. Someone who makes $200,000 a year but works 80 soul-crushing hours a week is actually making less relative to their time than someone who makes $60,000 a year working a focused 10 hours a week from their laptop. The goal isn't just to make more money, it's to make more money for every hour of life you put in. And this quote just brilliantly shows how that plays out. He calls it the freedom multiplier. The more control you have over those 4 W's, what you do, when, where, and with whom, the more valuable every single dollar you earn becomes.
Wait, hold on. So So you're telling me that someone earning $50,000 a year with total freedom, I mean, working from a beach in Bali, choosing their own projects, could actually be richer in this new definition than a stressed-out Wall Street exec earning $500,000 who's chained to a desk 14 hours a day? That's wild.
It's completely wild, and it's the core of the whole book. Which brings us to the first practical step in the DEAL framework. D is for definition. This is where you stop vaguely dreaming about a better life and start creating a concrete, actionable plan. And maybe even more importantly, it's where you finally confront the fears that are holding you back. And you gotta understand, this whole journey for Ferriss wasn't some thought experiment. It came from a full-blown crisis. He'd built a successful sports nutrition company, but he was working 14-hour days, 7 days a week. He was on the verge of a total breakdown, and he had this huge realization. He had more money than ever, but he had never been more miserable. The goal wasn't money. The real goal was happiness and freedom. So to break through his own paralysis, he created this really powerful exercise he calls fear setting. Not goal setting, fear setting. First, you define your nightmare. You get super specific about the absolute worst case scenario. Step 2, you brainstorm how you could fix it and get back to where you are now. Third, you list all the incredible potential upsides.
That's actually really practical. But wow, step 4 is the killer, isn't it? The cost of doing nothing. What is sticking with the status quo, your current job, your current life, costing you every single day, emotionally and physically? That's the real nightmare.
That's the one that gets you. It's the hidden cost. So once you've defined your fears and realized the cost of inaction is way too high, you're ready for the next step. E for elimination. This is all about freeing up massive amounts of time. And the secret isn't about being more productive, it's about being more selective. It's not about doing more, it's about doing less, but doing what actually matters. The core principle here is something he calls the minimum effective load, or MED. He uses a great analogy from medicine. You want to take the smallest dose of a drug that produces the result you want. Anything more is not just a waste, it could actually be harmful. Well, the same is true for work. What is the absolute least you can do to get your most important results?
So it's not about being lazy, it's about being ruthlessly effective. Kind of like being a sniper instead of just firing a machine gun in every direction. I like that.
And this brilliantly illustrates the tool for finding that minimum effective load. It's the 80-20 principle, also known as Pareto's law. The idea is that in almost anything, 80% of your results come from just 20% of your effort. So the key to unlocking your time is to figure out that critical 20% of tasks or clients or activities that are generating most of your success. And then you have to be brave enough to eliminate, ignore, or automate everything else. And here are the biggest culprits to get rid of. That constant obsessive need to check your email. He says, batch it. Do it twice a day and that's it. Those pointless meetings that just drone on forever, get rid of them. Multitasking, he says it's a total myth that just makes you worse at everything. And maybe the most important skill of all is learning to say a polite but firm no.
Oof, you could build a whole career out of just getting rid of those first two. I mean, seriously, think about the cumulative hours people spend just refreshing their inbox and sitting in meetings that could have just been an email. It's actually staggering.
It really is. So, once you've defined your new life and eliminated all the clutter, you get to the magic step, A for automation. This is where you design systems that generate income without your direct moment-to-moment involvement. This is how you get your life back. And the ultimate goal of automation isn't just to delegate a few tasks. It's to build a business or a work system where you are no longer the bottleneck, where things run smoothly and effectively, even if you're not there. You go from being the operator, pulling all the levers, to being the supervisor of a system that runs itself. And one of the most powerful tools for automation he talks about is this concept, geo-arbitrage. It sounds really fancy, but the idea is simple and just brilliant. You set up your life and your business to earn money in a strong currency, like US dollars, but you live or spend it in a place where the cost of living is way lower. This instantly multiplies the power of every single dollar you make.
No way. So you could be earning a San Francisco salary from your company, but be living like a king on a beach in Thailand? Or you could hire a virtual assistant from the Philippines, pay them a wage that's fantastic for their local economy, and you get to remove yourself from the day-to-day grind? That completely rewires the financial game.
That's exactly it. And this slide shows the basic flow. You identify all the tasks in your business or your life that are time-consuming but don't require your unique genius. Then you use tools and, more importantly, people, like virtual assistants, to automate and outsource them. And the result is you, freed from the grind, able to focus on the big picture. Or, finally taking that surf lesson. And that brings us to the final and honestly the most exciting part of the whole equation, L for liberation. This is the payoff. This is where you take all that time and mobility that you've clawed back and you actually start living the life you designed from the very beginning. The absolute cornerstone of the liberation phase is this beautiful idea of mini retirements. Instead of saving up all your freedom for when you're 65 and maybe too tired to enjoy it, you sprinkle it throughout your life. I mean, imagine taking a 3-month break every couple of years to learn Italian in Florence, or spending 6 months learning to tango in Buenos Aires. That's a mini retirement. This really hit me when I first read about it. I mean, think about that for a second. It's a total re-engineering of your life's timeline. You get to have these incredible, life-defining adventures when you're young and healthy and full of energy, not just at the very end when your body might be failing you. It just seems like a much more logical and just a more joyful way to live. It really is. And to tie all of these radical ideas together, Ferriss ends with this one perfect, powerful little story. It's a parable about an American investment banker who meets a humble Mexican fisherman, and it just perfectly captures the entire soul of this book. So, the banker's on vacation and he sees this fisherman relaxing with his family, playing his guitar, after catching just a few fish. The banker is just horrified by his inefficiency. He says, "Why don't you fish longer? You could catch more fish, buy a bigger boat, then a whole fleet of boats, build a cannery, become a multi-millionaire." And the fisherman asks him, "And then what would I do?" The banker says, all proud, then you could retire. You can move to a small coastal fishing village, sleep in late, fish a little, play with your kids, and spend your evenings drinking wine with your wife. And the fisherman just smiles and says, "But isn't that what I am doing right now?" And that story just says it all, doesn't it? The fisherman was already living the exact life the millionaire was killing himself and sacrificing his youth to maybe one day achieve. It brings us right back to the central idea. The real goal isn't the money. It's the lifestyle you think the money will buy you. And the truly radical question is, what if you could have that lifestyle right now? So we'll leave you with the same question the book leaves every single one of its readers. A question that, well, it might just change everything. Yeah. After all of this, what are you really working for?